It began as nothing more than a flicker, a faint anomaly buried within the ocean of astronomical data, the kind of thing most automated systems discard without notice. A stray pixel, a noise spike, the kind of ghost signal that usually disappears on second review. But this one didn't fade. It lingered. Cold. Silent. Moving far too fast to be ordinary. The first observatories to detect it were perched on the ridges of the world. Haleakala in Hawaii, Cerro Paranal in Chile, Sutherland in South Africa. Their instruments swept the night sky as they always had, combing the stars for supernovae, near-Earth asteroids, and the countless natural wanderers that drift endlessly through the void. But this was different. Their data showed something cutting through the blackness with a sharp, unmistakable presence. When NASA's analysts at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory confirmed the readings, the chatter began. Not an asteroid. Not a comet. A new, unregistered object had entered the solar system from the uncharted darkness beyond Neptune's orbit. At first, no one panicked. Objects come and go. The solar system is not as quiet as it looks. Yet something about this one refused to align with the familiar. Its speed was unnervingly high. Its trajectory was frighteningly precise. And its brightness, its cold, metallic gleam, was far too sharp for ordinary rock or ice. For a few cautious weeks, scientists tried to convince themselves it was just another cosmic visitor. A stray fragment from the Kuiper belt. A rogue comet that had lost its tail. But then the patterns began to shift, and the unease deepened. This was not just passing through. This object was on a path inward, slicing straight toward the heart of the solar system. The James Webb Space Telescope was tasked to observe it, its golden mirrors turning away from distant galaxies to lock onto this intruder. What Webb began to reveal defied all expectations. Between June 25 and June 29, NASA's Atlas tracking system cataloged the object and provisionally named it Atlas 3I. The numbers, however, told a disturbing story. It wasn't just moving fast, it was tearing across the interstellar gulf at more than 244,000 kilometers per hour. That's over 150,000 miles per hour, faster than most known comets or asteroids of comparable size could travel without some additional push. When astronomers traced its trajectory backward, they expected to find its origin in the Kuiper belt or Oort cloud, the icy graveyards of the solar system. But the result was more unsettling. It wasn't from here. Not from any orbit, not from any stable population of local objects. It was interstellar. A wanderer that had crossed the silent corridors between stars for thousands, perhaps millions of years. Interstellar objects were supposed to be rare, once-in-a-civilization sightings. Before 2017, humanity had never directly observed one. Then came Oumuamua, long and thin, moving strangely, accelerating as though pushed by something unseen. In 2019, Borisov followed, faster, more comet-like, yet still defying expectations. And now Atlas 3I. Faster than Borisov, shinier than Oumuamua, and altogether more puzzling. 3 anomalous visitors in less than a decade. What had once seemed an accident now looked like a pattern. Webb's infrared gaze deepened the mystery. Its measurements of Atlas 3I's brightness did not match its estimated size. According to its light curve, the object should have been massive, yet its actual cross-section was comparatively small. The explanation was unnerving. Its surface was reflecting light with unnatural efficiency, more like polished alloy than dusty ice. Even more bizarre, Webb detected that the object was unusually cold for something so reflective. Natural objects that shine brightly tend to absorb and re-emit solar radiation. But Atlas 3I appeared almost insulated, as though its shell was hollow or designed to shed heat. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, who had already stirred controversy by suggesting Oumuamua might be artificial, immediately recognized the signs. He pointed to the same telltale anomalies: unnatural reflectivity, unexplained accelerations, suspicious thermal readings. If Atlas 3I wasn't simply drifting, if it was maneuvering, then the implications were. Within days, the unsettling data piled up. Multiple observatories confirmed subtle but consistent changes in its speed, course corrections too precise to be random, yet too small to be explained by solar radiation or comet outgassing. The object had no tail, no debris cloud. And yet, it moved with intent. Webb also reported a faint, steady thermal signature, unlike the chaotic absorption and release expected from sunlight. This was structured heat, the kind you'd expect from an internal power source. Its rotation was unnervingly symmetrical, as though balanced by design, with one side absorbing slightly more heat, perhaps shielded, perhaps reinforced. Even more troubling were electromagnetic readings that hinted at internal complexity. Layers, cavities, maybe even compartments. Atlas 3I was not tumbling aimlessly. It was balanced. Constructed. Watching it was like watching something alive. For a time, the world was allowed to know. NASA, ESA, and other agencies shared regular updates, releasing data and observations to the public in near real time. But then, without explanation, the stream slowed. Tracking pages went dark. Archives were quietly restricted. Requests for raw data were denied. Researchers whispered about unusual orders coming down from agencies unused to secrecy in astronomy. Journalists began to report censored documents and sudden access restrictions at major observatories. The pattern was familiar. The object itself hadn't changed. What had changed was the decision about how much the public should know. Because once a discovery threatens not just scientific understanding but national security, the silence begins. Yet silence is also a message. In private, scientists debated possibilities more radical than anything they'd ever admitted in print. What if Atlas 3I wasn't just a rock? What if it was a probe? Autonomous machines, theorized for decades by thinkers like Ronald Bracewell and John von Neumann, built to cross interstellar distances without a crew, designed to watch, record, and perhaps communicate. Such machines would not need fuel or food. They would need only purpose, endurance, and time. And time was the one thing Atlas 3I clearly had. If it had been dispatched from another star system, it might have been traveling for tens of thousands of years. Long enough to cross gulfs of darkness. Long enough to arrive at exactly this moment, when humanity had just built the eyes capable of noticing it. The deeper Webb looked, the stranger it became. High-resolution scans revealed repeating surface patterns, geometric regularities impossible to dismiss as natural. Its outer shell was segmented, with panels of alternating thermal properties, arranged like tiles. Even more puzzling were electromagnetic spikes, brief pulses across specific frequencies, repeating at suspiciously consistent intervals. Officials dismissed them as calibration artifacts, but those familiar with Webb's instruments insisted the signals were real. To them, the implications were staggering. These weren't random fluctuations. They could be structured transmissions. Not necessarily directed at us, perhaps just internal systems communicating, or perhaps something more. But the possibility was enough to raise an unspoken question. Was the object aware that it was being watched? The shift from unease to alarm came with the trajectory change. Early projections had Atlas 3I passing harmlessly by, a slingshot around the sun before disappearing back into interstellar darkness. But new models, fed by its subtle accelerations, revealed deviations. Minuscule at first, but undeniable. When extended, the new course bent closer, not into a collision, but into a near pass with Earth's orbital zone. The distinction mattered. Passing near the sun was one thing. Passing near Earth was another. Inside mission control rooms, debates raged. Was this still gravitational influence we hadn't accounted for? Or was it deliberate navigation? The public was told nothing, but inside those rooms, scientists stared at the shifting numbers with growing dread. Because if Atlas 3I was steering, then it wasn't just a natural visitor. It was approaching with intent. Now, Atlas 3I continues its silent plunge toward the inner solar system. Its surface glints faintly with each turn, patterns of metal and shadow catching the light of distant stars. Its trajectory edges ever closer to the space we call home. Webb watches, recording every photon, but the truth may not come until the object is closer, perhaps too close. If it is natural, then history will record it as one of the strangest and most remarkable wanderers ever discovered. But if it is not, if it is artificial, then every kilometer it travels is more than motion. It is the unfolding of a plan. Someone, somewhere, made a decision, long ago, that is only now reaching us. The most terrifying possibility is not that Atlas 3I is fast, or cold, or hollow. The most terrifying possibility is that its arrival was never an accident. That it was designed for this exact moment, for our telescopes, our technology, our civilization, to finally notice. We built the James Webb to look into the ancient past, to capture the first light of creation. But perhaps, without meaning to, we have pointed it toward the future. And the future, it seems, may already be on its way.